Way better role. Way better. Like, love it. I'm like,
Ready?
okay. This is Haley. And this is Bailey. You're listening to Unleashed. Haley is just trying to figure out her lighting over there. If you are watching the video version of this, it looks like it. Talking about selfie lights, I feel like those are used so much for doing makeup and all that stuff, which kind of ties into today's topic.
It really does. It makes all the natural features just enhance them, you know?
Haley, do you usually wear makeup? Like every day or randomly?
Not every day. Like, I'm not wearing makeup right now. And it just depends on what I'm doing. But when I want to feel like more put together, I think I will. But when I'm just hanging out at home, I don't usually know.
But let's talk about how I don't think either of us have ever not worn makeup on a podcast, right? I'm thinking that was
you did once. You did once. I remember. It was right before you left for Europe.
Oh, yeah. I actually don't wear makeup that much, I feel like.
No, you don't.
I usually do it if I'm going out or if it's like we're doing a shoot or something like that. But I don't put it on like daily or to do like errands.
Yeah. I know a lot of people who will like wear it to the pool or to the beach or stuff like that. I used to be a lot like that. Probably wasn't until a few years ago I really was like, you know, whatever. This is such a pain.
I think something that actually really helped me, and this was such a little thing, but I started dyeing my eyebrows. And that might sound like the tiniest thing, but I feel like it helps me feel a little more put together without, because like my eyebrows are so light that I feel like if they weren't dyed, then when I was doing makeup, that made me feel more confident.
And then, did it look like before you started doing that? Did you feel like you didn't have eyebrows?
Yes, I need to find a photo. My mom was like, "Oh, you had
no eyebrows."
I was like, "Yeah, did nobody tell me this? Like, what?" But honestly, wasn't that like a fad or like in recently, like the no eyebrow look? Because I feel like that was kind of in.
That was not something I ever participated in.
No, I didn't either. But don't you remember like but the Kardashians or something? I feel like Kendall. I need to find this now.
Oh, Kendall did that for the Met.
Yes,
she rocked it too.
I remember it from that. Maybe it wasn't as in, but I don't know. I also feel like over time, I realized like I just slowly got more confident in not wearing makeup. But there are times like when I am broken out or like I want to feel more put together, I definitely wear makeup. I think it's just becoming more confident in not wearing it has been really nice for me.
I feel like that comes too as you get older when you're so used to wearing makeup. Because like for me, I remember when Bryce and I were first married and we were talking about women in the hospitals who have just given birth, and we're like, she looks so put together, like she had eyelash extensions and like little diamond stud earrings in, and her makeup looked good, and she was just so like perfect. And I was like, I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna look so good. There's not a chance that you will ever catch me not having makeup on if I'm like giving birth. And I was like, because you know you're gonna catch me giving birth naturally. But like I was like, and I have it planned, and now I'm like, the priority is so like gone on that. That is not a thing at all.
I think as you get older also, maybe not, but I feel like you kind of learn how to style your like hair or little things different that make you feel more put together. Like I feel like I've learned kind of on the days that I don't feel as good how to actually like feel a little more put together. So in those moments you could be like, I'm just gonna do this with my hair, and it doesn't have to be this big thing of putting makeup on. And yeah, for sure, my cousin who has 5 kids, I think she's had makeup on every kid. I'm like, that is impressive. She literally doesn't look like she just had a kid. I feel like honestly, if I wore makeup when I was having a baby, I feel like it would get all like messed up and it would look actually worse.
It just like melt and like look like you're crying.
I always because I don't wear makeup a lot, I always rub my eyes or like touch them when I have mascara on, and it gets hello Haley. Sorry. It gets so messed up. When we're back to podcasting not next to each other, we are still getting the hang of it.
Yeah, we really are. It's so funny because when you were talking about your breakouts, that reminded me how I didn't really have acne in high school. I mean, I got like a couple pimples every now and then, but it wasn't anything like cystic, and I was very fortunate for that. But then it came roaring into my 20s, and it was a year ago. I was fighting this chronic cystic acne because I had massive
It was right when we met.
Yeah, it was right when we met, and we were doing all these photo shoots for Unleashed, and I was like so insecure about it because I'm like, I can't cover this up. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do. But I like found out it was about treating my gut imbalance that I had. And it was just so like basically destroyed my gut from all this ibuprofen I've been taking because I was in pain from my periods. And so I was just like, oh my gosh, it's like a never ending cycle. But so that like the fact that today I can like confidently like not wear makeup and like just talk about it, it's huge. And I think that comes with time, and it's harder to do, I think, when you do face those insecurities that you have, because I know a lot of people, like, acne is such a hard thing to like be confident and have.
For sure. Do you feel like there's anything that helped you become more confident in overall, not just acne, maybe acne or your body image or whatever it is over time? Do you feel like there's anything that like transformed to make you more confident, or any tips, tricks, just anybody
Yeah,
listening
absolutely.
to this?
Exercising helped, but in a healthy
I was going to say
balance.
that. I was going
It
to say
does.
that.
Like whenever I feel anxious or feeling insecure, and I'm not saying this in a toxic way of like, oh, I'm feeling fat, I'm gonna go work out. No, it's not like that. It's like, oh, I'm feeling anxious and insecure, and I ask myself, when was the last time you worked out, and when was the last time you had protein? Because usually it means my like food battery is super low, and I'm on the verge of like being hangry, and so I will ask myself those two questions. And then if I have recently worked out and I have eaten, then I'll just try to say, okay, is this something rational? Is this something that will change in an hour? Is this something that will go
What
away?
part of your cycle are you in?
Yes, exactly. We were talking about that. If you're in your luteal cycle, game over. You're just gonna have to wait till the end, because there's nothing you can do to get out of that. But yeah, no, it's so true. Like, exercise is a huge thing. Is that what you were gonna say?
I feel like it's made such a difference. And something I was actually going to say about exercise, it's not even the like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get so skinny from this one thing, or I'm going to look so much better from this. It's honestly how much more I like feel in shape, like, and I feel confident in myself. It really does have to do with how I look or what my weight is. I honestly don't keep track of that stuff, but I feel like it's more how I feel inside and how I like am showing up for myself, because I feel like when I exercise, it takes this like pressure off of myself. And for some reason, it just like resets me to feel confident in myself in more ways.
So you say you feel better inside, and didn't you just start a running?
Yes, I just started running. You can ask Haley this, but if you would ask me a month ago, I'd been like, I am never running. That is literally never something I will ever do. I hate
literally
running.
Horrible.
It literally would have been something I would have said I will never do, but I think I'm on like run number 6. It doesn't sound like a lot, but for me, like don't run. Like 6 runs is a lot of runs for me. And I'm already like looking forward to it. And really what pushed me to do that was I wanted something, because I like love going to the gym. I love Pilates, but those, especially with our lifestyle right now, aren't things that I can just like jump up and do whenever I feel anxiety or stress. And I wanted something that was like a time to reset. I wasn't on my phone. I could just get out and like reset when things were hard, and also find joy in it, because I definitely don't love running, but I wanted to find joy in it. And that's really been my challenge to myself, is to slowly over time like find joy in running, and not just do it for anxiety and stuff, but that be a thing that kind of pushed me to get there, I guess, is the best way to like.
Are you finding
running.
joy yet, or are you still working?
It's funny. I wouldn't say like during it I'm finding joy, but I'm waking up excited to go for a run, which is really weird. Like, to get outside and go on a run, I wouldn't say it's the process of it yet, not during it. I'm not like, woo, this is great during it.
Before and after.
Yeah. The before and after I've noticed a huge shift in like how I've been feeling my anxiety. There's so many things I'm already noticing. And I'm not even running like a ton. I'm not running like a marathon, baby stepping into this. And one thing I've actually done though is I did not put the pressure of like running a really quick mile or running 5 miles. Like, I was like, if I need a walk, that's okay. I want to like it.
I was going to ask you that next. I was going to say, so do you run the entire time?
No.
You should go running. Whenever I go to Colorado next, come meet me there. And then I want you to go on a run in Colorado and tell me how you feel.
It's harder because it's up in elevation, right? Is that right?
Yeah, so a lot of Olympic trainers will go to Colorado to train because it gives them better stamina. So when they run at sea level, they're like, I can run for days now, because they've built up that capacity inside their like lungs and their, stamina and speed. But it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, because running is hard. I don't know. I'm like 2 miles in and I'm like already walked a little bit of that for sure. I'm like, okay, that was good. That was a long run.
I'm impressed you even get that far. I don't like running because it like literally hurts me. Like my blood starts to like the capillaries. Yes, I get itchy.
Okay,
in the
I remember.
It's called runner's itch.
You remember me telling you this, that I couldn't run because I've got itchy? I'm not itchy anymore. And it
Yes, so
didn't
that's what
take that.
happens. You have to build up your stamina for it, and then so what happens is your blood capillaries are expanding because of all the motion and the activity in your blood, and it's usually not used to that, and so it comes across to the body's nerves as an itch, but it's an internal itch, but you can't scratch it out, but you want to scratch it, and it just like it hurts, and when you keep going and it takes about, I think, maybe a mile when of first beginning, it will go away. Like that happened to me once when I went to Disneyland, and I was like murderous. It was horrible. And then after an hour, it was fine. It goes away. But that first little onset of that pain, I hate it. I get so mad. It only happens when I'm cold. It only happens in cold weather for me.
Interesting.
You reminded me of a quote that said something along the lines of, exercising is hard, and so is also not exercising, because it also helps benefit your mental health and whatnot, and so choose your hard. And I thought that was so interesting, because I do notice the days that I don't maybe exercise, or I feel like I'm not feeling the best or whatever, regardless of exercise or not, like you're gonna have some hard days and whatnot, and so to choose your hard, I'm like, that's a good perspective to have.
I really like that.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things that I don't know if it will necessarily help you get to where you want to right then and there, but it could help get that direction moving forward. And I think with self-image, what we've talked about today is it's not just about the exercise or wearing the makeup. It's about how you feel on the inside. And that's what your journey with the running thing has really helped you kind of start to begin and do. And I love that, because that's where it starts. You can't just all of a sudden be confident on the outside, even though a good outfit really can make that happen. Yeah. It does start on the inside, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's something that really pushed me, was because I was feeling like I was looking at, we've talked about this a lot, but I'm very positive. I have a very positive outlook on life. And I found myself having so much anxiety and being so overwhelmed that I was being so hard on myself about so many different things. And instead of, I was like, I can sit here and keep feeling this way about myself, but I'm not going to do that. So I literally was like, what can I change? What can I challenge myself to do? And that's how I literally got to running. And hopefully I can stick with it. I actually really want it to be something that I do for a long time, because if I can see benefits after 6 runs, I can only imagine how it would feel when I'm way further into this journey. But it is true. Pick your hard. Like, I could have picked to sit here and be miserable and look at everything negative and be hard on myself, but I'm challenging myself to do something that's pushing myself out of it. And that's not going to be the one fix. Like, I'm going to therapy. There's other things, but you have to make changes to love yourself and to be confident in yourself, because it's not easy. There's so much stuff on social media. Friends are mean. People are comparing. There's just so many things that you have to love yourself.
Like, there's these trends that you see out there that will be something that isn't a trend when you're younger. And so then when it becomes a trend, you're like, what the heck? Like, I was bullied for that. So it's something you're insecure about now, but now it's a thing. Like, for example, I was teased about my freckles I had as a kid, and people just thought that it was like blemishes and it was just a problem. Like, I have a red freckle underneath my eye, and I called it my devil freckle because people made fun of it. And now I learned to like it, but it's just like one of those things. But now people are drawing freckles on their face, and they like, oh, freckles are so cute. And I'm like, I'm so confused right now. Pick a side of the fence. Like, it doesn't make sense. And it sucks, because as you get older, those insecurities don't just go away. And so it's like, yeah, it's a trend, and trends come and go, but people's like confidence, that stuff sticks.
Definitely. I remember just being so tall when I was younger, because like all the boys didn't grow. I feel like, at least where I was,
boys grow slower than girls.
Yeah, boys grow slower. So I was always really tall as a girl. And I remember like never being liked by the boys like that. Like, I was always really good friends with everyone, but they all looked at me as a friend, and I was too tall. And I remember being like, what? I'm too tall in elementary school and middle school. And then all of a sudden everyone caught up. And I think I've said this, I talked about this on a podcast, but I just remember that being so frustrating, because it was like, I can't help that I'm tall. And now I feel like being tall, you can't help how tall you are, but I remember that being a thing.
It's so interesting, because it's like, no matter what you do, what you can or can't control, there's always something. Like, people are always,
it's like curly hair, straight hair.
Yeah. It's freckles or no freckles. I mean, I mean, we were talking later before we got on this podcast. So you were like, my hairline. And I'm like, my widow's peak. Like, it's just like, there's always something. And you see a lot of people, and like, I look at the future kids and whatnot, and how they don't have, I call them awkward phases, I guess. Like, they're not very gangly or, you know, that.
My favorite word,
awkwardness. Gawky. Yeah. Just like, they just don't have an awkward phase that you just look at them. I'm like, you can definitely tell you're growing up and you have Pinterest and YouTube and all these tutorials, because we had to face it. We had nothing. We had to figure out on our own or from other people.
So awkward.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, I think that those days of us having those awkward phases are now being, because we were insecure about them, we're now trying to prevent that in the younger generations, because that's something we were teased and bullied about. But I'm like, we also have to remember, you know, every generation has their struggles and their issues. And so you can only do so much. And each generation gets better and better, in my opinion, because we learn from the mistakes, for the most part, of other generations. And so it's cool to see that they don't necessarily have these awkward phases, but at the same time, what are they then going to have to deal with when they're older?
I feel like they're growing up so fast.
They are.
That's what I feel like comes from that. Like, I feel like you kind of skip that young, like, let's play dress up and look all, you know, like, I don't know. These
I love dress up today. Like, Halloween, man. I'm like, that's like one excuse to actually dress up.
And like the awkward photo shoots, but now it's all TikTok dances. You know, there's different things, of course, but it just feels like you're kind of jumping over that. I don't know, middle school, beginning of high school, when you're like just a little, you're figuring it out. You're just, I don't know, my pictures, at least I'm like, oh my gosh, that's awkward, but I kind of love them. I'm like, I was figuring it out.
My mullet photo, I'm like, oh my gosh. In my high school, it was like a special occasion kind of a thing to have your nails done. Like proms, homecomings, dances. It wasn't, girls did not have their nails done all the time. And my niece was like constantly asking if she could get her nails done, and she's in high school, and it's just one of those things that I'm like, is this a thing now? Like, and I've known this for years now. Like, I've known it's getting your nails done is nice. You feel more put together, and so I get it. But I'm like, that was not a thing in my high school, to constantly have your nails done. And I feel like those pressures that we see now, I'm like, that would be horrible to have to constantly feel like, oh, I have to have my nails done, or I have to have this or that or whatever. And I'm like, I feel like it was just so much more lax then. I mean, I felt that way. I don't know. I wasn't also the most girly girl then in high school. I was more of a tomboy, but
yeah, it's so interesting to see how things change. But I see all those TikTok videos of like this is what I looked like when I was in middle school, and now these are middle schoolers, and I'm like, yes, that is definitely what I looked like in middle school.
Those make me laugh so much. I saw this one thing that was talking about like all the friendship bracelets we see nowadays. Like, that's a huge trend, and I think they were super cute. But then when I was like a freshman in high school, it was the bracelets that if you took them off, it shaped to an animal. And then do you remember those? And then the I Heart Booties, and yes, and all those little things.
Do you remember the tape wallets?
The duct tape wallets. Yes. Yeah. I look at this and I'm like, why was this a thing?
I remember that.
But it was a fun thing. But like, that's what I think they're going through now, and so it's cool to see. Like, okay, well, glad that I'm not insecure because of the bracelets. You know, that was not definitely something I was insecure about. But it's just like those little trends that you grow up with that shape who we are today, and it turns into nostalgia, and it's fun. It turns into a fun thing.
Definitely. It's also so interesting to see how much we take from that time, like you said, and bring it into who we are today, because obviously it was a big part of our life and going through those different things. And it's interesting to see, like, some people, you know, like, you hold on to a lot of insecurities. Sometimes you work through the different insecurities. But I also feel like with social media today, it's so hard to work through those things because you're always comparing. Because social media was not as big of a thing back then. I mean, it was a thing, but not as big.
No, I remember getting Instagram in, like, I think it was 2012. When I got it. It was like right when the early phases of it, maybe even a little earlier. But there was one thing that I definitely knew impacted me, and I think it probably does still to this day, was I had uniforms in school. And I went through a K through 8th grade, so kindergarten through 8th grade school, and I wore uniforms pretty much all the way up until high school. And when I had the ability to go to high school, I didn't really have a sense of style. So I just I was so excited to be able to wear whatever I wanted. So I kind of dressed a little eclectic, and I mean, yeah, my family kind of helped me, but I mean, they wanted me to express who I was, which I look back and I'm like, y'all should be like, no, do not wear that. I'm just like, it was not no bueno. Like I had Converse that went up to my knee.
Oh, I had those.
You did? Yes. I was like, who let me wear those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, it was a thing, but I'm like, that I had no idea. And so to this day, I'm like super insecure about the clothes I wear. I mean, not as much, definitely. Like, I've definitely learned to let it go, but I have this thing that I'd rather be overdressed than underdressed. And sometimes it can go a little far on how overdressed I am.
Talking about uniforms, I honestly always wanted uniforms when I was in school because it's like
Really?
that thing, like you said, straight hair. You know, if you have straight hair, you want curly hair. If you didn't have uniforms, you wanted, everything. I feel like you always think you want the other thing. But I remember thinking there was so much pressure on what I wore, and I was always stressed about what I was going to wear that I kind of just wanted something to feel like, I don't know, it just was like you put on an outfit and you're not judged by what you're wearing. You're just accepted, and you're more judged by who you, not judged, but you're more accepted by who you are than what
your personality is more of
your personality
criteria for who you are, rather than what you're wearing.
Yeah, not like, oh, whose jeans are you wearing or what brand are you wearing, or always trying to get the next thing.
It's Gap uniform, Gap
collar. Yeah. But honestly, like, I feel like whatever and it's actually funny because you look back on things like this and, it all worked out perfect. I didn't need a uniform to figure out, all my style, or, you had a harder time transitioning. It is interesting to see how no matter what you have, a lot of times you think the grass is greener on the other side. And I think that goes to so many areas in our life. And really, when you just, can step back and enjoy where you're at and what you're going through, I think you can grow a lot from that. But it is hard in the moment. Why am I in uniform? All these kids get to pick out outfits and go shopping and wear them to school and, all these things. And then
it's true. It's always and there was once a month, we called it dress of choice day, where you got to wear like normal casual clothes. And it was always a big deal. The cool girls would wear like the Limited 2 and the Justice, and I mean all the American Eagle and all these like nice brands. And I'd walk in, I'm wearing JCPenney and Kohl's, and I'm like, oh gosh, I thought this was cute, but apparently I'm like, and that was just like, oh my gosh, this is why uniforms are a thing. But no, did I think that? Not at all. And so I remember being able to get that Limited 2 outfit one time, and I was like, yeah, I'm a cool kid now. I'd made it in life.
It is so sad though that so much a feeling you fit in or that is based off what you wear and like the brand that it is. It's so crazy because I feel like even today that's something kids deal with, is what brand is this and what brand is that, and that doesn't have anything to do with the person. And I think that's the most important thing to know, is doesn't have anything to do with what kind of person you are. And I think when you step back, you really realize that. But when you're little and in school, people are mean.
People are so mean. I wish I could just get rid of all the bullies, like, or have a little chat with them.
Because then you grow up and you're like, wow, that wasn't that big a deal. But then
it was
in the moment, it feels like a huge, it is your world at the time.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. But I hope that people can take this advice of how you're not alone when it comes to your insecurities. And sometimes it just takes time to figure out what makes you feel confident. Don't try to rush it, for sure, but find what makes you happy and confident, whether that's going on a run like Bailey or me, where I exercise. That's not with running. Anything but cardio. I do not like cardio.
I think something from this podcast is really just remembering to take the time to love yourself and to step back and make time. Like, go on the run, go exercise, whatever it is. Like, find your thing. Everybody has something different, but it's so important to love yourself to be able to show up for the people around you also. And it makes you such a happier person in your day-to-day life, and you're able to enjoy so much more when you truly love yourself.